Hello and welcome back to my channel. I just woke up, still very sleepy, but I woke up and I was starting to meditate and this message was coming through me, so I just wanted to share what was coming through. So don't mind if I'm still a little sleepy and waking up. What I wanted to share was I've been going through this myself of seeking the truth. I've been seeking and pursuing the truth for years. And I grew up very Christian, very religious with all of the programming that comes with that. And I left that when I was probably about 15. I was like, this is not it. And I'm going to say it right now, this is not about saying what's right and what's wrong. And I'm not telling you that, like, if you are in still any sort of religion, that it's not right or it's wrong for you to follow what is true for you, because we're all guided to different paths in life, and not all of our paths look the same, and to honor each other in the path that they're choosing. This is just to share what I've experienced and what is true for me and what is unraveling for me in my life. And yeah, what I wanted to share was we are moving through crazy times right now, and there is so much untruth being spoken. There's so much distortion. There's so much chaos and distraction happening in the world to distract us from the truth. And the visual representation, like the visual, I wanted to actually draw it out because this is how it was coming through in my mind. Yeah, we're going to turn you this way. This here represents the truth, the absolute and only truth. Then you have the branches that come off of the truth. And we have whatever. We have the Bible and Christianity. And then we have whatever, Buddhism, which to me is like the closest to the truth that I have found within all of the organizations or like religions, but it's still like not the absolute truth. So you have all of these things, whatever, like whatever you want to put here, that represent, different religions, different organizations, different belief systems. And then you have all of the micros that stem off of these. You have all of the different branches of like Catholic and from the Bible and Christianity. You have, Catholic, the different types of churches and the different type of belief systems and truths that stem from this truth. And same for every one of these branches. You have other branches that stem off that have more things. And then, as we keep going, the more things are unraveling right now in the world, there's more and more and more of that. If you can see that, there's more and more and more of that happening, stemming from the truth. We have all of these organizations, and then from them, there's more stemming off and more stemming off. And then even from these, there is more stemming off, more branches. And then from these, there's more branches. And that what you end up with is all of this chaos, all of this distraction, all of these stories stemming from the truth, but none of it actually is the full and absolute truth. This is the only full and absolute truth in the center. And right now, everyone is making up their own stories. I mean, everybody has been making up their own stories for forever, been making up their own stories of what the truth is. And a lot of it has been distorted, and humanity has distorted it with their own agenda to use it for control, for greed, for their own agenda. And that is why there's, branches off the truth. There's not the absolute truth. But more and more and more, we are dissolving. This is what humanity is moving through right now. And this is what the work that we are being called to do. This is the Divine Mother. The truth is rising. The Divine Mother is rising up to reveal the truth. And all of this is crumbling. But it's getting really loud now because it gets loud while it is dying. Right now, the non-truths are the loudest they've ever been. But that is because they are in the process of dying, of crumbling, because the Divine Mother is rising and nothing but the truth can stand. Everything that is not the truth will crumble. And that crumbling is happening within us. Because this is the truth, the center of the truth, and how we find that truth, don't mind my bad drawing, that truth can only be found, if you can tell, within us. The center, that truth center of God, of Source, of Creator, that center is only found within our own beings. We go inward to find that truth. This stuff is all outward. It's all outside of us. All of the non-truths are outside of us. The only absolute truth, this truth of God, of Source, of Creator, because there is only one God. Everything else stems from Source, from Creator. And then everyone has created their own God, their own Creator, their own thing from that. But none of this is going to give you the answers to the truth. They are just aspects of the truth. You can find some truth here. You can find some truth here. I have found some truth in Christianity, but it wasn't the whole thing. I have found some truth in Buddhism, but it wasn't the whole thing. I have found some truth here. I have found some truth here. And that's been my unraveling my whole life, but especially over these last 5 years, where my heart has been guiding me on this deep, deep journey where I've been diving into so many different medicines and plant medicines and books and studying and meditation and literally unraveling to come here, to finally come here. And now there is not much that I intake. My being is guiding me to no longer intake information from outside of me, to go inward for information and bring it out. I've done all of the out to in, and now my being is calling me, yes, go inward and pull the information out. Go inward and give it out. And to continue to purify my being and purify my vessel and purify my mind, so that the process of me diving into my center and bringing it forth into the world is as clear as possible without it getting distorted on its way out through my own agenda or through my own distortions, if there's still distortions. So this is the work that we are being asked to do, or that I am being asked to do, is to continue to clear and clear and clear my vessel, because I know the absolute truth. I feel it within me. I have found so many truths within me in my own center. And now I am sharing it when I feel clear and called. But when I'm not feeling clear, I don't share it, because if I'm in a state of being, because we are moving through so much right now. So there's some days that we are experiencing high highs, and then some days we are experiencing low lows, because this is just what humanity is going through. This is the collective is moving through so much as it's shedding layers of itself. So there is days where we are experiencing a lower dimensional reality as it's being purged through us, because all of this that is happening through us. The new earth, the new timeline is being birthed through our bodies. So everything is being felt in our body, but it's just energy moving through. And yeah, the days that I'm experiencing a more lower, like I'm experiencing denser energies that are from like a denser reality moving through my body, I'm aware of that. And on those days, I don't channel anything through, because I know when I'm in that energy and letting those energies move through me, I'm an awareness that I am just a vessel and these energies are moving through me to be purified. And I'm an observation of it, but I also realize that on those days, I am also perceiving, I'm seeing through a different lens. I'm seeing the world through the lens of the energies that are moving through a denser lens. So it's more distorted, a more foggy lens. So on those days, I don't bring forth what's inside of me, because it may get distorted by these energies that are flowing through that are more distorted, that are just clearing. And I'm an awareness, and I'm not attaching to the energy that is moving through me, because I realize it is just energy washing out, old stories washing out from humanity, from the collective. And I just need to trust that process and allow it to move through me, because that's how we transmute it, and that's how we release it, and that's how we lighten the load for humanity. That's how we are transcending it, is to feeling it and then letting it move through us, but not identifying with it, because the moment we identify what we feel moving through us, we are attaching to it and anchoring it into our beings, and then we are looping in it. So to observe it, be an awareness of the energies that are moving through and hold space for it, because we can't deny it. It's just going to create a lot of resistance if we try to run away from it or deny it. This is happening whether we like it or not, and the easiest way is to surrender to that purifying that is happening through our bodies, to allow these old stories to wash up and wash through us, but to be an observer of it, a witness of it, and not get sucked into it and stuck in it. To be like, okay, this is what my being is going through today, and just observe what is moving through your body and let it wash through. Trying to feel into if there's I felt like there was more. But yeah, so through these times right now where there is so much being said about what is right and what is wrong, and everyone's, sharing codes and light language and all of the things, listen to your own center. Go into your own center, into your own truth, because most of what is being shared right now, the more and more we move forward in this journey, the more I see that almost all of it is bullshit, really. There's a lot of bullshit, and it's all a distraction from the absolute truth, from the center. Most of it, almost all of it, is a distraction from this. And it's not saying that it's wrong. It's all playing its part, because I have gotten caught up in this. I have gotten caught up in this and a little bit lost in this story. I've gotten lost in this story. I've gotten lost in this story, and 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 this story. But all of it, there, in all of these pockets of somewhat distorted stories that emanated from the truth, some of them did not even emanate from the truth. Some of it was, it all does emanate from the center, from source. So, but some of it's really, really distorted and absolutely not the truth. But I have gotten lost in all of these pockets in one place or time throughout my journey. I got sucked so deep into the false light, to the false spiritual, false light. I got so sucked into that for a while, and it all served a purpose. So I'm not saying any of it is wrong. It's all playing its part in the unraveling of the untruths, in the Divine Mother rising in the divine, rising and crumbling the distortions. It's all playing a part. It's all playing a part in the unraveling. And we go through this journey. I went through this journey of being so deeply disconnected from myself, so deeply connected from the truth. And, you know, I grew up Christian, but, you know, in my teen years, I was deeply depressed. I was not finding my answers in church. I was a basket case, and I didn't even want to live. And then I stepped out of the church, and I fought for my life and just focused so hard on work. And then I built a career, and I was so deeply, my career was the thing that kept me going, because I just was like, I totally identified with that role, with the career and with the success of it. And then it got to a point where I was so deeply disconnected from myself, and my awakenings started to happen, and all of that crumbled, because that was an identity I built out of safety, and it was all false. And during that crumbling, all of this served a purpose, all of it. The false spirituality, the false light in the spiritual communities, it served a purpose. I got lost in it, but I found information in it. I found aspects of myself in it. I found aspects of the truth in it. And, you know, then I dived back into the Bible, and I read the Bible and felt for myself what was true and what was not. I went into Buddhism. I went into yoga, into meditation, into all of it. And even, you know, I listened to channelers. I spent easily $30,000 or more while I was still working on coaches, on healers, on different types of coaches and healers around the world, and found the little nuggets of truth. And they weren't always sharing the absolute truth. Their intentions may be pure, but not everyone has cleared their vessels. We're still in the process of fully cleaning and clearing our vessels and clearing our own agendas and our own distortions, so that what comes through us is absolutely clear. So people may have the most pure intentions and not even realize that they have an agenda, and not even realize that they're still speaking distortion into the world and still speaking this distortion into other people. But it all still served me, because I found nuggets of truth in all of it. There is truth in all of it. So it was like I didn't even know what I was doing. I was just following my inner compass, this little tug that was pulling me in certain directions. And I surrendered to it, because I had no idea what way I was going. And anytime I thought I knew what way I was like, okay, this is where I'm going. This is what I'm unraveling. This is what I'm going to do with my life now. You know, I thought I was going to be, I took sound healing. I took energy healing classes. I got all of these certifications thinking, okay, this is the thing. This is it. This is why, this is what I'm guided to. And it wasn't the full picture. It was just a piece of the puzzle piece. It was just a piece of what I'm here to do, a piece of what I want to experience, a piece of the truth. And so all of it served its purpose in weaving the truth back into my being, and weaving and kind of bringing me back to my center. All of it played its part in little bit there. It was like the breadcrumbs. This is just all the breadcrumbs. And if we actually listen, we can get stuck in the breadcrumbs our whole life, in just a portion of the truth, an aspect. We can live our whole lives as just a fraction of ourselves, just a piece of ourselves, because most people are walking around and their souls are fractured, and they're existing as just a piece of themselves, but not their whole selves. The soul fracture happens with trauma, when we suppress aspects of ourselves. Trauma, especially when we experience some traumatic things in our childhood, and traumatic things could be just not getting love from our parents, can cause a soul fragmentation. And then there's an aspect of you that is still stuck as a 6-year-old, and there's an aspect of your soul that is fractured and stuck there, and you're living as you're living your life, but there's a piece of you actually missing, still existing in that timeline. So yeah, you can live your whole life in fractured. You can live your whole life just being like, oh, this is the absolute truth. No, this is the truth. This is what I'm living from, and not be open to the possibility that there's more. The openness, not living with the openness that you might be missing the mark. You might be off a little bit. And I have just stayed open, even though it was challenging all of the belief systems and programs I grew up with from Christianity. I stayed open, even though there was so many programs that were so strong in my head, being like, this is evil, how dare you do this, you're full of blasphemy, you're sinning, you're this, you're that. All of that got so loud, and it still does get loud some days, but it is mostly washed away in the fire, in the purification of the truth. And walking my path has been that fire. Walking my path and going into the depths of all my shadows, all my pain, all my own distortion, all of the stories that I've been carrying that some of them aren't even mine, from my lineage, from my ancestry. Walking that and feeling the depths of the distortion, feeling the depths of the pain that has been passed down for generations, feeling the depths of my own pain, of my own trauma, of my own stories that I have lived through. That has been the fire that has purified me. That has been the fire, the feeling the depths of it and standing in it and not running from it and going back in time to collect the fragments of my soul that I have left behind. That was walking through hell. And that has been the fire that has purified me and continues to purify me and has brought me to my center. So all of it, I am not saying any of it is right or wrong, because it is all perfect, and the divine is using all of this to bring us back to her, back to the center of all that is. And that center of all that can only be found within us. It is within you. The absolute truth is within you. You're not going to find it in someone else. You are not going to find it in the Bible. You are not going to find it in any book. You are not going to find it in any channel. You are not going to find it anywhere outside of yourself. We have been programmed to be this way, to be like outward. We're trying to go outward to find the truth, but that's not how we find the truth. That is not how we unravel this story. We have to go inward to find the truth, to find our center, and then bring it outward into the world. And this is the process I've been living. This is what I've been moving through for the last years, and I am so grateful for getting lost in all of the sauce. Because all of the sauce, all of the breadcrumbs, I should say, because that's all it felt like, is like I went back to church for a short period of time in close to my 20s. And I was deeply depressed, and I couldn't find answers anywhere else, and I didn't know what to do, and I was just not in a good place. And I went to church once. I was like, okay, I'm going to go back to church and see if the answers are there. And I went back to church one day, and I just cried because I felt hopeless. I sat there and I listened to the message of the preacher, and I was like, this isn't it. The answers aren't here. This feels empty. It was a breadcrumb. It's like getting a taste, but you're starving. You're starving for the truth, and someone gives you literally a bone with like nothing left on it, and it's just a taste, and it still leaves you hungry. You're not fulfilled. And I went in, and that's how I felt. I went in there looking for the truth, desperate for something. I was starving. My soul was desperate. And I went in there and I just cried because And I left being like, that's not it. And if that's not it, what is it? What am I just doomed to live my life feeling empty and depressed? Like, I don't know, if I can't live like this, what is the answer then? And that was the beginning of my seeking. And then I got a little bit lost in my career, and I just like started reading books and slowly started like just being more open. And then I found Dr. Wayne Dyer. He was just like, he played a massive part in the beginning of my unraveling. I was just driving one day to work, and I was skipping through radio channels, and then I came across him speaking on a channel, and his voice automatically just caught me and pulled me in. Like, just the sound of his voice, like his voice just feels like he's channeling God. He is really he is kind of a channel of the divine. The divine is very strong in him. God is working very deeply in him for humanity, for us, because he's opened himself up and stepped aside. His ego has stepped aside, and he's opened himself up to be that channel. And he's written many books, and he has many many audiobooks and books. And if you don't know Wayne Dyer, I would really suggest looking him up. So I started to listen to him because he was talking about God, but in a way that I've never heard before. And I was like, whoa, this is very different. He's talking about nature and the trees, and just listening to him talk hit me really, really deeply. And then he talked about just giving from our hearts and how we receive when we give. And he talked about how every time he goes through a drive-through, he pays for the person behind him and how it makes him feel. And that he just wants to, how it impacts other people. And just like, he was just sharing basic things that I didn't really hear of before. And then I started started paying for the people behind me. When I went through the drive-through, I was inspired by him, and I started reading his books. I went to the bookstore, and I bought a few of his books. I bought some of his CDs of guided meditations. I bought his audiobooks. I literally bought as much as I could of him. And that was one breadcrumb. It's like I've always been, the moment I started seeking God, source, the divine, that center within me was like, okay, she's ready. Like, but it's always been predestined. My awakening has always been predestined. We don't choose when to wake up. It may feel like we are choosing it, but it's always been picked out for the perfect timing for us. The divine is guiding us through our awakening, and when it's time, she starts to call us up and drop in these breadcrumbs that seem like it's us, that we're following this path, but we're being guided. We're never not being guided. Every step of the way we are being guided. Nothing is a mistake. That person that said that random thing to you, that recommended that random book to you that you read, that opened up the next thing and this next thing, like, it's always been guided. Looking back, 4 years ago, I didn't even know about ayahuasca. I didn't know about plant medicines. I saw everything as drugs, and I didn't know there was a difference, and I'd literally never heard of ayahuasca. And if you would have told me 6 years ago that I'm going to do this plant medicine, I would have been like, heck no, I'm not going to do that. I was so against all of that. Like, I was so against everything other than, I used to drink and I used to smoke weed once in a while, but that was it. Like, I was not open to anything else. But slowly, it was like I was being prepared we're always being prepared for the next step in our journey, for the next phase. And I was always being prepared. I wouldn't have been open to that 6 years ago, but through reading these books and this process that was unraveling within me, and as I was reading Wayne Dyer, that started to deprogram some of the old programming and started to open up my mind and open up my heart more and shift my perspective of the world. And then my ex's mom, while I was in a relationship, she bought me a session with this intuitive coach. And I was like so skeptical, and I didn't want to do it. Or like, I was like, I put off booking the call because I was like intrigued. I was always a little bit intrigued of like numerology. I grew up really being intrigued by numerology, but was taught that it was evil. So I never like dived into it. And when I did go into it a little bit, I felt so much shame around it because I was told that it was evil. So like I always had curiosity around numerology, astrology, and all of these things. They really called me strongly, but for the most part, I like didn't allow myself to even explore it because of what I was told growing up. But yeah, so there was a bit of curiosity with this coaching call, but I went in very skeptical, and I was like, this is not the real, like, this is not real. People can't read your energy. That's not a thing, especially over the phone. Like, yeah, I was so skeptical. And then the moment she hopped in the call with me, she just started and telling me everything about myself and childhood and how I felt, and shared about my mom, and like so much about my relationships with my family, and like the wounding I was holding from it, and how it was affecting my life now and my relationships now. And like she just unraveled so much within an hour call, and I was just like floored. And I was like, I just knew in that moment, oh my God, this is what I've been looking for, and I haven't even known that this is what I've been looking for. And then that, from Wayne Dyer to her, and then worked with her so closely, calls weekly, and I didn't even care about the money. Like I just was so like hungry, and just eating it up, because it was feeding me, it was fulfilling me, it was giving me something my soul was desperately needing. And then when I felt complete with her, and I was no longer feeling like I was getting anything from it, then I moved on to a different coach that, again, magically popped in at the exact time. Like one was through a podcast, one was through recommendation, one was through Instagram I just came across. And it was like these little breadcrumbs that I was like collecting. And I always knew when I was complete with working with someone, because of how I felt inside. Like it was just like no longer satisfying me, and I was like, I need more. This was a piece of it, but it's not the whole picture. And then all the certifications I did, and then ayahuasca popped into my reality, and I was like, nah. People started to talk about it, but I was like, Then I read it in a book from this amazing, beautiful woman that also like I really respected and really resonated with her, and still do. And she talks about her experience and how she moved through her childhood trauma through doing it. And I was like, okay, I'm open to it. And then, I dated a guy that was like, have you ever heard of ayahuasca? And then he like showed me some videos of it. And it was just like it was plopping into my field. Like the guidance was like the divine was dropping it in, and like preparing me to be open enough to eventually do it, because it initiated me, and it played a massive role. It created all of these little things, created momentum, and all prepared me for this big boom, which was part of it was ayahuasca. A big part of it was ayahuasca. And before ayahuasca, I started working with the teacher I was working with. I got this, I found this teacher that I started working with, that I did all of my training with, and I started, I became a plant medicine facilitator, and I was guiding psilocybin ceremonies with her, and I was doing a lot of ceremonies just on my own to expand within myself, and to work with the medicine and build a relationship with the medicine. And then ayahuasca happened, and then ayahuasca happened again. And then, it's just been a slow, constant unraveling and all of it played its part to unravel all of these stories, all of the illusions, all of the distorted truths, to bring me back into the center. So I don't know if I'll ever do ayahuasca again. There's a lot of fuckery happening in the plant medicine communities. There's a lot of distortions happening. There's a lot there. And I'm not saying don't do it, because it played a part in my life, and it helped me on my journey. But be discerning if you are going to, when you are on this path, when you're on any path, be discerning, whether you're in church or whatever, be discerning. Does it feel true to you in your heart? Is your body being like, fuck no, get out of here? Listen to that. You have to practice discernment. Discernment is what is going to get you to here, because we all have this mess of all of these distortions and stories within us. This is all within us. It's also outside of us. This is only within us, but all of the distortions are within us and then reflected outside of us. And this is why we are seeing it in the world, because we are seeing the world is just a reflection, a mirror of what is inside of us. So any distortions that are within us are going to be reflected in the outer world, which is, we're seeing it. We're seeing it in everybody around us. We're seeing it in the news and on social media, all the different opinions and the distortions and the agendas and blah, 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 blah. It's all a reflection of what is inside of us, each individual. And our duty, our responsibility, our mission is to purify that within ourselves, to clean the mirror. Clean the mirror. As we wash away those stories within ourselves, we are automatically, it's being mirrored now, and we are washing away the stories in the world. We're washing away the fear. We're washing away the hatred. As we wash it away from us, as we clean ourselves, the mirror is automatically going to be cleared, and the reality that reflects back to us is going to be one that reflects what is inside of us. And I know this to be true, not because someone has told me. I know this to be true because I see it, I feel it, and my reality is constantly changing according to what is inside of me, and it is happening faster and faster and faster. I can have a thought, and literally within minutes something materializes and manifests in my reality that correlates with that thought. It's just how much are we detached from it. And the thing is, the negative thoughts, when we want something positive and we're trying to manifest something, we're usually attached to the outcome because we want it so bad, so it doesn't usually happen, or it doesn't happen as fast because we are attached to it, because the key is to not be attached. And the negative thoughts that we're thinking, we tend not to be attached to it because we don't want that thing to actually come true. But the negative programming has been so deeply rooted that is still in most people what we more naturally, that's our more natural, that's the wiring that is more still normalized and natural to us. So it's like programming ourselves to like bring it into a positive way and to think more positively. And it takes time to rewrite those stories and to rewrite the neural pathways. But yeah, the negative thoughts, what I've been noticing is when I think something positively and decide something positively with non-attachment to the outcome, and I fully release it and let it go, it manifests so quickly. But also the same with negative things. When I get stuck in a negative spiral or in a negative thought process, it manifests even quicker, or just as quickly, but they're more so with the negative thoughts and the negative processes, because the negative thoughts and processes, I have no attachment to the outcome. And that's why we create negative realities a lot easier than we create positive ones, because that is the way we have been programmed, and that is how the network inside is wiring and firing, because it's been passed down for generations. We've been being trained that way for generations. We've been trained that way since childhood from our parents. That's the wiring that they have. That's how their neural pathways are operating, and it's a journey to undo that. It's a journey to rewire that. It's a journey to clear the distortions and the programming. And all of this plays a part in that story. We are always being guided and led back to the one, the source. And all of this is still playing its part in unraveling, but be discerning and listen to yourself. The most important thing on this path is to listen and build that relationship with your own inner guidance system, with your body, with your intuition. Feel what your intuition feels like. Get to know your body, because your body is your intuition and your guidance system. You can feel everything in your body. And my body has been, building my relationship with my body has been the most important part of this journey, because when I've been being told other things. And even like, for example, when my body stopped wanting to eat meat, and I'm not saying don't eat meat or any of that, I'm saying listen to your body, because as my vibration was raising and the density started to drop from my body, cooked cooked food, but especially meat. I was eating, like, I was on a bodybuilder diet. I was eating meat like 5-6 times a day in like gross amounts, so much meat. And I started to feel so heavy, and it was starting to drain me, and I wasn't digesting. It would just sit there, and I would just not eat anymore. I would bring my meals to work with me, but not eat them. But my body was telling me, I don't want to eat this anymore. But the programming was saying, you're going to lose all your muscle, you're going to get sick, and you're going to die if you don't eat meat, because this is what I've been taught. And also the bodybuilding lifestyle, and I was so deep into, that health and nutrition world where protein is like number one. And there's so much beliefs that vegans are weak and and sickly and all of that. And I believed that. I believed all of that programming, and it was a process. I was aware that my body didn't want it anymore, but I was fighting the programming in my mind, and I knew I had to undo the programming, because every time I would be like, my mind would tell me, or the story inside would be like, you're going to get weak and you're going to get sick and you're going to lose all your muscle. There was a little voice, my intuition said, that's just a program. And that's what I would hear every time I would tell myself that story around protein. It would be like, that's just a story, that's just a program. And so I taught myself a new program. I was like, okay, I need to learn how to trust my body. This is what my body literally can't eat this anymore. So I stopped eating it. And that when I stopped eating it, the moment we stopped feeding any story, the story fights. It has its own like energy, its own awareness, its own like consciousness, because it is connected to a certain consciousness, and it fights to live. It was so strong and so loud and causing such a battle within me, that I was like, every time I ate, and every day when I wasn't eating meat was another battle. And I just kept going. I kept going with it. And there were some days I went back to meat, and then would again feel awful in my body and be like, no. Then I would go back. And what helped me was to help reprogram myself was I started following fruitarians, because that's what my body was wanting. It was mostly just fruit. So I started following vegan bodybuilders at the time, because I was still in the bodybuilding world, to prove to myself that the program was not true. If this person's been vegan their whole life and they're ripped and jacked and healthy, then this program's not real. And then from that, I started following fruitarians that were also lean and strong and clear, and I could see their energy and feel how vibrant they were, and be like, okay, this program is not real. And every time the program got strong in me, I watched videos on YouTube. I watched Instagrams looked at different people that weren't eating meat, that were thriving, to help me rewire that program. And some of the programs have been easier to let go of, like the alcohol one. My being resisted it a little bit, but it was easy to drop alcohol. My body felt so sick every time. Like, I was drinking quite often, but when I started doing my healing work and stuff, alcohol made me sicker and sicker and sicker, to the point that I was bedridden every time I drank for days. Like fever, chills, body aches, like I got the flu every time I drank. But that one was pretty easy to let go of. But the food one was really hard. And then I went from vegan to, now I'm raw vegan, but mostly fruitarian. But yeah, raw vegan. And that, when I went from vegan to raw vegan, that was a whole other process. But it was a lot easier, because I knew what I was doing. I was like, okay, this is just another program. I'm watching my body move through this process, and what's good for me yesterday may not be what my body needs today. And to just trust this unfolding every day of what my body needs physically, and also energetically, what I'm feeding my body with music, because what I've listened to, what I've consumed with books, what I've consumed with music is also changing. What I resonate with is also changing, because as we are changing and our vibration is rising, we're no longer able to tune into certain vibrations that are part of an old story, that are part of an old aspect of ourselves that is dying. So building the relationship with your body is probably the most important thing, because this is how you find your center, your truth, and this is your navigation system that helps you through all of this chaos back into your center. And to also, once you're in your center, to stay in your center. When someone's speaking something to you, or you're listening to a video of someone channeling or light language, there's some light language that is not of the light. There is some light language that is dark as fuck. And the only way you're going to know is through your body. You're going to listen to one and you're going to be like, yes. And then you're going to listen to one and your body's going to contract and you're going to be like, what is that? This is your inner guidance system. This is your body. Your body is so wise. It holds all the codes. It holds the wisdom. It holds your body knows it all. So build the relationship with your body so that you can get through this maze, be guided. And sometimes we are guided to uncomfortable situations or maybe darker situations, but it's all part of unraveling our own darkness, our own shadow. So trust where you're guided, but also move with discernment. And you don't need to know the reason as to why something's a fuck no in your body. Listen to it, because this is something I've learned the hard way. Is there were some moments where, this is a story, one last story, and then this is the end of the video. Literally just last week, I should know better by now, but once in a while my intuition tells me something and I'm like, that doesn't make any logical sense. Nah, I'm gonna do it anyways. And I, for the most part, I don't do that anymore, because there's always a hard lesson with it. But it's just the divine showing me, listen to your intuition, even if it doesn't make logical sense. And last week, I wanted to go to the forest. I was moving through a lot and I was just like, oh my God, I just want to go to the forest and be alone in the forest today. And my intuition was like, stay in today. And I was like, why would I stay in today? I want to be in the forest. That makes no sense to not go to the forest. I'm not going out in public. I'm literally just going to the forest. What could possibly happen? I was just like, I was like, no, I'm going to do this anyways. I went to the forest and there was a lot of happening in the psychic field. It was the day, there was a lot happening in the collective. A lot of not good things being reflected in the news and stuff like that. And the psychic field was really strong. Like there was a lot of, I could feel behind the veils, there was a lot of war happening, like a lot happening behind the veils. And it was really strong. And I was like feeling it all my walk. And it wasn't one of my most enjoyable walks just because how strong that was. But that's why I wanted to be in the forest, was to kind of be in nature, because it's where it feels the best for me. And then I get back from my walk and I get to my car door, and right away I look at my car door and someone broke into my car. Someone literally just destroyed the lock where the key goes in and broke into my car and stole my identity, which is kind of ironic and crazy. But I was like, the moment I saw the door, and I was like, I was just like, damn it, this is why my intuition said, stay home today. And it was just a lesson. It was like, listen, even when it doesn't make logical sense. You don't need to know why. Just listen. We're always being guided. That person that cut you off on the road could be a blessing, so don't get angry out at it. Just trust the process, because you are being protected in ways you can't even understand. You are being protected in ways that you can't understand. So listen to the intuition when it speaks to you. Listen to your body when it says, when you get twisting, sinking feeling. But the more you listen, the more you feel the subtleties of it, and the more you feel the subtle energies. Someone could be saying something to you and you'll feel the energy of where it's coming from. You'll feel the agenda. You'll feel the untruth in it. Even though it sounds good and it looks good, you'll be able to feel the undercurrents of the energy. And that is your superpower. So build your superpower. Any superhero didn't just get the powers and knew how to use them right away. It was practice to harness it and to be able to use it properly. and to fine tune it and to expand it and to get better. And that your body, your intuition is your superpower. That is what is guiding you through these messy times, through the chaos, through the storm, to get to your center and to stay in your center. Because things are always going to be trying to pull us out of our center to get us lost in the illusion again and to have us fall back into the unconscious. And this has happened to me multiple times of being, okay, I'm in my center, it's all good now, and then being sucked out, and then come back in, and then being sucked out. And it's a process, and it's a muscle that we build and build and build of staying in our center. And because our intuition and our connection with our body and our discernment is so strong that we feel and see shit right away. We can feel the untruths in someone when they're walking up to us before they even open their mouths. And we can feel it's a fuck no the moment we open their eyes and we see them. The moment we see someone, we see everything. We don't even need them to open their mouths. And this is the power of building that within yourself and building your discernment and building that connection with your body. So, yeah. I think that's all I have to share today. I hope this all made sense and landed for you. I hope this is helpful for you. And yeah, thank you for following. It's been a wild journey. I know I haven't shared for a while. Been moving through so much myself. And yeah, I'm excited to share what's been actually happening in my reality inside, and also outside of myself, because it's been a wacky journey lately. And probably more to come very soon. But I never force, I never perform for the algorithm. I don't perform for what people say I should be posting and when I should be posting. I share when there's a message that is wanting to come from me from a clear place. So yeah, stick around, and I'm sorry if I'm not always posting constantly and consecutively like most people do, but this is just the guidance I'm getting, and I'm just following that, even if my videos are few and far between right now. Thank you for sticking around. Thank you for your patience, and thank you for listening and following and liking and subscribing and commenting and all of the things that support me on my journey, on my journey home. Anyways, I think that is everything. I hope you all have a beautiful day, and I wish you many blessings in your life and on your own journey to finding your way home, finding your way to your center. And may you see through all the illusions, and may you wake up to your highest version of yourself, and in the most easeful and graceful way. May you wake up to the truth of who you are and remember your own divinity, and shed all of the stories and distortions with ease and grace. Much love to you all, and till next time, bye.